Hi, it's Ashleigh from Sweet Dreams Bake Shop, and welcome back to my channel where I make a lot of cake and cookie decorating tutorials as well as give a lot of baking business tips. And as you know, I have been creating a whole buttercream series, so inevitably I'm left with a lot of buttercream. I wanted to give you guys some really simple cupcake decorating ideas that you can do with one single tip. Now this is the 1M tip, which I hope is very readily available to most of you, and it's so versatile. And I'm not going to be showing you anything super groundbreaking today, but it's just some really easy decorating ideas. Now I've put a little Christmas spin on it, but you could honestly use all of these ideas just for your day-to-day cupcakes. So this first one here, I'm sorry I missed that little bunching section that I did. I really just wiggled the tip back and forth. Now you're going to notice I'm going to be utilizing a lot of rosettes on my cupcakes today. So you want to start from that center point and then you work your way around. I'm also using a lot of star tipping as well. Star tipping is a great way to fill in all of those empty gaps in your cupcakes. This is also a great way to utilize less buttercream but still have full coverage on your cupcakes. And I realized I did not fill up my cupcake liners enough this time around. I was trying out a different chocolate cupcake recipe and it just doesn't rise the same way that my original cupcake recipe does. So that's why they're not super full. All right, the next thing I'm doing here, it's kind of like a little seashell border, but instead of doing it all the way around, I started to do 2 rows and then I filled it in with a rosette. Now in this next cupcake here, I'm using a pretty similar technique, except I'm bringing it right down the center and I'm kind of overlapping it so that it looks like a braid almost when you look at it from the top. And then I'm going ahead and I'm filling everything in with the star tip technique. Now, just to elaborate a little bit more on how to do this, if you're new to cupcake decorating, you're going to squeeze the bag and then you're going to let go once that star tip has formed. Letting go and knowing when to let go of your piping bag is actually half the battle, really. You want to make sure that you have even pressure when you're doing things like these rosettes, and then when you're finishing off, I'm kind of dragging that piping tip through just a little bit and I stop squeezing at that point. Now for this next cupcake here, I'm finally going to show you how I do that ruffle. Now this ruffle is a little less tight than the first ruffle I did, but to make it tighter, obviously, you would just do more squiggles back and forth. And again, going in with these rosettes. By the way, to get all of these colors, I put in just a little bit of gel food coloring for every single color until I kind of reach this pastel vibe. Here is a really good angle of what star tipping will get you. Now I'm doing it so it's a little bit more ruffly. So what that means is I'm letting that piping bag be squeezed for just a little bit longer so it kind of ruffles out and it's less of a perfect star. And then you'll notice I just kind of star tipped the whole thing. It kind of almost looks like a hydrangea cupcake. This cupcake gives me all the Christmas vibes. You'll notice I'm kind of looping my buttercream all the way around. Now, originally I was going to do a wreath here, but I do that a little bit later on because I didn't fill in that middle of the cupcake. So I decided, why don't we go another layer? And now we've got a really beautiful tree. A 1M tip wouldn't necessarily be my first choice to create flowers, but if you're in a pinch or you just want to create something really simple, then do a seashell border all the way around, but elongate the center so that you're looking like petals there, and then go ahead and star tip that center. For this particular cupcake, all I did was I covered the base with a little bit of white using a spatula, and then I'm going ahead and I'm using that same technique that I used for the tree to create a wreath, but this time we are going to leave it right there. Now I feel like this is a trick that every cupcake and cake decorator needs in their back pocket. We're just going to go ahead and pipe a whole bunch of different colored buttercreams. In this case, there's only 3 different types, but you could make this totally multicolored, and we're going to place it on plastic wrap. And then what we're going to do once we're satisfied with that is we're going to roll it into a log formation. And then I'm just trimming off the ends here so that it'll fit inside of my piping bag, put it directly in there, and then go ahead and pipe as usual. And here I'm just piping my cupcake as I normally would. I always like to kind of do 3 to 4 swoops around. And why not show you how to do the classic rosette? It's really all about coverage here. So you just want to make sure that you cover up the entirety of the cupcake. And we're doing a few more of these rosettes. And yes, some of this decorating is a little bit repetitive, but really, once you master the squiggle or the ruffle, and then you master the star tipping as well as the rosettes, you can really mix it up to create something that looks different on every single cupcake. And now I'm doing the super fun part by adding in all of the sprinkles, and you might see these little gingerbread men that I've made. They're just royal icing transfers. If you want to know more about that, you can go ahead and click this video in the right hand corner. And of course, if you are going to be using American buttercream for this, which is totally doable, just make sure that you sprinkle right away because it will form a crust and then you won't be able to sprinkle as easily. But because I'm using a faux Swiss or any really Swiss meringue, Italian meringue buttercream, you're going to be able to sprinkle it for a very long time because it does not form that crust. There's plenty of ideas for toppers that you can use. I'm using some candy canes. I also used some edible glitter, and of course, switching up those sprinkles is really going to make a difference to your cupcakes as well. And you don't need to be an expert piper for this. If you really mess things up, toppers really help to kind of bring things together, even when you're not fully happy with something. This is kind of a variation on the flower as well as the tree. So you'll notice I'm elongating those centers like that, and then I'm going ahead and I'm stacking it. Now this one here just ended up kind of more like a cupcake, but if you wanted to, you could go a little bit higher, peak it at the top, and then that's another version of a tree. But I decided to just go with some peppermint on top as well as my little gingerbread toppers. I love those little guys. And then, if all else fails and you don't like any of the stuff that I did with those tips, you can just dunk everything in sprinkles and put a little topper on it, and it's gonna look fabulous. Now let's get into the pricing of these cupcakes. Now pricing has been such a wild thing lately. I don't know about you guys, but when I walk into my favorite restaurants, everything ends up at least being, in the end, about $15 to $20 more expensive than it used to be. So it is our time now to start raising prices. Is it something that our customers are going to be happy about? No, but we need to keep up with the rate of inflation. Now where I live, butter has gone up by at least $1 per pound. So this plays into my costs here. I actually think that I could go even a little bit more expensive with those proposed prices. So definitely keep that in mind. Don't be afraid to raise your prices. It's just something that needs to be done in the here and now. And I feel like I will be making videos in future about how to adjust these prices without feeling that innate guilt or feeling that you might lose customers. I think that's really important that we talk about that. Vlogmas is coming up, guys, and I'm going to try my best to upkeep Vlogmas this year. I've done it for the past 2 years, but I haven't uploaded a full-length video every day for a while. So please let me know what you guys want to see because I'm going to be building my Vlogmas calendar based on your requests. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you can be part of the Sweetie fam. Right now, I'm uploading weekly, so make sure you hit that notification bell so you know when I upload. Also, be sure to comment, request, or ask a question. I love hearing from you guys. Bye!